Hi everyone and hi online. If you're still joining from 9 to 6 o'clock in the evening, that is a hard ask. I'm very pleased. So hello online and please get ready because we are hoping for a little bit of an engagement session here. Couple of words. First and foremost to myself. So my name is Eleanor Troy. I work for the International Chamber of Commerce, actually for ICC Austria. The International Chamber of Commerce, some of you probably have already made acquaintances there or have had to deal with them. So we are the world's biggest business organization, and we are representing 45 million enterprises around the world. And what a lot of people do not know is that we are structured a little bit weirdly, because we are, on one hand, an international organization, but we also have, on the other hand, 90 representations around the globe. And these differ. So ICC Poland differs from ICC Austria, differs from ICC Germany. Some of the countries do not have a national committee just yet. However, if you're interested, I will pass on to Olena some of the materials and links to send around to the attendees. And this will then be one of them. Check out your national committee, because at times they can help you with import-export. So the ICC merely is interested in dispute resolution. We are the oldest arbitration institution in the world. And then we do policy making, advocacy, and rule making. And those of you in the factoring or receivable finance industry that have a background in trade finance obviously will know ICC through the rules for documentary credits or bank guarantees. And one of our most popular product is the Incoterms. These are done by the ICC as well. So that is a little bit of myself, and I will ask the panelists to introduce themselves as well. Rasko, would you like to give us a little bit on your background?
Okay, as I said, I'm the marketing guy from FCOM, working since 5 years for FCOM, and we are a team of 5 employees. FCOM, as I said, German-based, very traditional company, but 2 or 3 years ago we have a bigger strategy change. So we are focusing not anymore on Europe, but on, let's say, the rest of Europe, of the world. We have our first client in India since 3 months. We are having a new product on Islamic factoring. So we are focusing on the MENA region, on Africa. It's a very interesting part, being part of this, let's say, team, and we are looking forward for the future.
Thank you, Christian.
Hello, hello to everyone. I'm Cristian Ionescu. I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Instant Factoring. It's a leading fintech in the Central Eastern Europe. I spent my last 22 years working in this industry. I used to be the CEO of COFAS. It's a global credit insurance company for Central Eastern Europe, a few markets in our region, for 10 years. And then after I decided to leave, we set up various organizations in the same space, debt structured finance for mid-large companies, and most recently Instant Factoring, which we launched 6 years ago. And for this time, we focus, rather than helping the very big boys of the world, we decided to help the very small guys of the world, where we feel we have a huge impact in their lives. Because as many of you know, when you work for a big group, let's say Siemens, you're not changing anybody's life. If Siemens doesn't buy from me, my service, you will buy from him or from him. So you're not really impacting the world. So we thought with a super digital product, 100% online, digitized, we can democratize a little bit this product, which usually it's targeting the top 1-2% of the market and make it available for all. With the challenges that were discussed by all our colleagues throughout the day of education and so on and so forth. But that's it about me. And now we are a little bit international to come to our topic for today, in the sense that we started in Romania, we went to Serbia 2.5 years ago, now we go to Spain, and we do also a lot of cross-border transactions for exporters from our markets. There are challenges, and I think we will have the chance to discuss.
We will talk about the challenges in a second.
International expansion and doing business for many reasons, but I'm sure you will have a question on that.
Well, thank you for leading the subject. So I think a big part of today we spent on domestic platforms and domestic providers, and we're moving into the cross-border situation and international trade and digitization of international trade. And of course, ICC has done and is still doing a lot. There are plenty of initiatives, first and foremost, the Digital Standard Initiative, so where we were trying to set standards around the world to help digitization get going. But, and the reason why I invited Christian to the panel, he started before at a different panel. So I wondered what you would consider the biggest obstacles to digitization of international trade. Would you like to start, Christian? I will stop you though if you pass too much time.
So if your question is extremely good, I think the challenges is a bit hybrid origin.
I would agree, yeah.
Number one, in Europe, unfortunately, as we know in many areas and sectors, we are super regulated compared to the US, to Asian markets. So Europe has a very tough regulation in every single market. Out of, I would say, maybe 27 EU countries, 20 have local laws on factoring, which are not harmonized. That is, I think that's one of the originators of the challenges that I will describe in the digitization that you mentioned. So that is the reason why we had to go market by market and open a local company, because it's actually impossible. We had requests from Switzerland to finance Swiss companies or German companies, because we are an international European platform. We could, through our digital system, our platform could actually finance anyone in the world today. However, from a Romanian jurisdiction perspective, where we are licensed as a non-banking financial institution, the regulator, the National Bank, says you are free to finance anyone you want around the world. But if I come to Germany and try to finance a local German seller, I will run into the regulatory framework of Germany or Switzerland. And that comes with a huge risk if you try to do something. Many people say are on the idea, you can do a cup, one client you don't require a license. We tend to be very conservative on that. That is why we decided to go market by market. Now, when you come to the digitization of that, when you look at the model we have, it's fully digital, instantaneous rating of the seller and of the buyer, like literally in a matter of seconds, 1-2 seconds. If we want to go international, we would have to integrate with public data sources or information providers, aggregators of data, internationally, which is not as easy. My colleague here maybe will say, yeah, if you go through a global credit provider, you could cover some of the requests, right? So there are global companies that can provide data in many 100+ markets. I'm sure ICC would be a solution or some kind of data provider on that. The challenge is that there are a lot of particularities in every market. I can tell you the credit risk model in Serbia is different than the one in Romania and is different from the one in Spain. So localization and understanding, this is not an easy fit. So that is the one particular problem for the digitization of the trade receivables finance. The lack of cohesion and the lack of data providers in a structured format the same everywhere. And I can tell you, when you even in very developed markets let's take Switzerland, where I'm quite familiar with the ecosystem, because of the legislation of confidentiality on shareholders, Credit Reform, which is a huge market player, they cannot disclose to you as a factor in Switzerland the underlying reason for their scoring. So they will tell you the score, but if you're saying why 5 not 10, they're not able to provide you because they don't have access to financials. They lack so the PLC companies, the ownership companies, they are not obliged to submit financials. They are confidential. Shareholding structures is confidential. So I give you one example of things that prevent us.
In particular, very well known.
Okay, maybe I chose an extreme example, but what I'm trying to say, it's in every single market you go, there are different particularities, and it's super. You have 27 fragmented markets that you need to understand well for you to have a cross-European solution. I'd be very interested to hear about how you plan to do this pan-European.
So we have legal interoperability. That is one pain point that you mentioned. Resko, do you have any thoughts on the biggest obstacles for cross-border factoring or trade finance in general?
Sorry. No, I'm nothing more to add what you said, Christian, because we had this discussion with Mark from Lenvi some minutes ago, and I told him it's a ridiculous situation because even in Germany you have 16 entities, the so-called Bundesländer, and even they have a common strategy. So the Bavarian guys, they say, okay, we are part of Germany, but not really. We do our own thing. And about the topic of e-invoicing. So it's a mission impossible to have one standard even in Germany. So there are very big obstacles and challenges for the SMEs, but that's the reason why we're sitting here. So there should be an solution, and we are having this idea to launch a new project and enhance, because there is underperformance and there is a finance gap, not even in Germany, for the SMEs, and there should be a solution. So, yeah.
I love to hear that. So, as a representative of ICC, I've been with ICC for the past 12 years. I'm very open to one opening question that I ask all the time. But before I ask that, I would also like to remind the audience, some of you may have noticed that, but Word of Open Account has underwent some changes. So we have a new leadership, and we're also trying to get the community engagement to increase. And we also would like to hear from you guys what you would like us to do. And now here comes the question. So how can we help? We've been talking through the entire day about good examples, but also about obstacles and hurdles that we still have to overcome. So what is your intake on what you would expect a stakeholder and industry representative to help you with? What would actually help you do business in a better way? So I will pass on the question to my panelists, and then hopefully have somebody from the audience perhaps give us some idea. So Resko, how can we help?
Maybe Christian will start.
Okay,
Christian.
let me get the controversial topic. So I think coming back to what I was saying earlier, when you try to compare Europe, first of all, despite the fact that 20 markets out of 27 have different legislation, you can't passport. You can only pass many of our constituents, many of our stakeholders were saying, oh, but it's super easy. You're going to passport your license from a EU market in Romania, and you can do cross-border and licensing, no problem. It's actually not true. If you don't have a bank in your cap table, you can't do it. So only the banks made it the law or influence the law in such a way that they can do it, but not independent players like us. So therefore, we have to open. If we want to be all across Europe, we need to open 20 companies in Europe with 20 translations of 20 agreements. So basically, you pay again for the cookies policy on our website. For each new market, we need to pay terms and conditions and lawyers and legal advice 20 times. If you're in the US, you have one market, one language, and unless you're going to very sensitive topics to be tackled by the states, by the each individual state legislation, but I think, believe me, I don't think terms and cookies and conditions on the website are one of them. You have access to a huge market. By the way, it's unregulated. I don't need a license there. We've been studying this some time ago. So this is a problem that we have, and unification of legislation across Europe, that we claim that we are a unique market and freedom of services and freedom. It's not, actually it doesn't work in the case of trade receivables finance. Yeah, not only the reasons that I mentioned earlier, that there's a fragmentation of data sources and very specific things in various places, as well as we hear also within the borders of one country.
I do understand what you're driving at, but we still have to pay attention that the EU structurally is something completely different than the US. And neither you nor I, nor any representative can change the Amsterdam contract or the Maastricht Treaty. So we have to work with some limitations. I admire the ambition, nevertheless, but do you have a positive example as to where stakeholders helped you with doing trade or made trade possible or made factoring possible?
Actually, yeah, I was sharing within the coffee break. It's incredible the level of support we received to go to Spain and it's actually, it's again a little bit particular because the support was received by us, by the Basque government. You know, Basque country within Spain, they're kind of not really an autonomous region, but they have their own tax regimes and etc. The level of service and support we received there, it's incredible. I mean, we could not have paid anyone to do such an amazing job that done by the government. And actually, it's called Seed Capital Biscaya. It's a kind of a family of funds that is financed by the Basque government and all the Spanish banks combined. And their focus is to attract innovative companies to go to the Basque country and from there to Spain and Latin America, etc. So they created this program. And actually, at the beginning, we never understood why they decided to help us. And last year, when we went to Bilbao, where we had set up our offices now, we were super impressed by the social inclusiveness that they really live it. I mean, the Basque and the Basque country government, they are super passionate and super dedicated to create a very inclusive economy. The region is the biggest employers are cooperatives, where these are really the term cooperative that we in the ex-communist countries are a bit scared of. Yes, you put your money together, millions of people. Believe me, when I went there, I said, "Oh my God, what am I hearing here?" It's like a little bit of. I was kind to them. I said it's socialism, but actually I felt it was communism what I heard. But it was actually a communism, if you like, that really works. And so I met one of the biggest cooperatives in the world, Cooperative Mondragon, which manages about 400 billion euro of assets around the world. The CEO of the cooperative cannot have a salary higher than 6 times than the lowest paid worker. That's what I'm talking about, social inclusiveness. And we were amazed. And they actually, because of our mission of supporting underserved, underbanked communities, they saw something in us that could serve them in their own community. They wanted to have this kind of solution. We had no idea why they chose us. But due to their amazing support, they opened the door for us for banks, for insurance companies, for investors, funds, lawyers, tax advisors, auditors, accounting services, everyone. It would have taken me, believe me, many, many months to access these people. Probably many of them would not bother replying to us just because the government was calling. Of course, they were all there at the very representative level, managing partner. So that's a kind of a support that I would love to hear that ICC could offer when companies look for international expansion to support and go to other jurisdictions.
But from an ICC perspective, we try to deliver that. We have to keep in mind that we are a global organization, not just an European organization. On the European level, we're campaigning hard against the current wording of the EU regulation on late payments, the 30 days, the mandatory 30 days, which neither will work for the factoring industry, nor for the SMEs, nor for anybody. We are not entirely sure who's drafted the regulation. The purpose in itself is good. We all agree that timely payment of invoices is something we should strive for, but still the mandatory 30 days do have a restriction on private autonomy, on contractual freedom, in particular for SMEs. So I think from an organizational level, we're trying to talk to regulators and legislators. We're also talking regularly to the regulators for the Capital Requirements Directive. So this is something we're doing. I would be interested in the audience, going back to my original point, how can World of Open Account help? Any thoughts, any expectations, maybe online?
Maybe I can give a short answer from my perspective. It means PR and marketing. I think what we, and with we, I think of SME companies or smaller companies or the whole ecosystem. So this is maybe a buzzword, but we need more communication. We need to discuss, and with what we're doing now, it's very important. Not only discussion, because we have to do things, and this is the reason why WOA or the members are having several initial projects. To be honest, we are not let's say the Ligue 1. We are not the Bundesliga. We are the the major league, but the second division or the third division maybe. But maybe this is the reason why we have to talk, and we have to have an advocacy on several fields for this problem, because there is a finance gap, and we have to meet, discuss, and we do not have always
we won't always share the same point of view, but at least we talk about it.
So there should be sometimes beef, but it's beef. It's a positive beef. And discuss things. I think this is very important for this project, for this idea.
I agree. I also believe that, and we heard it throughout the day again and again and again, that there is value in education. So from various people, from various panelists, we've heard there's a lack of education. SMEs do not have time to prepare. They don't want to know what factoring is. They want the money. As much as I believe that this is true to a specific extent, I also believe that those SMEs that are strive for success and are at the end of the day sustainably successful understand the mechanism behind what they're doing. So there is a willingness to learn. And I, for example, hope that World of Open Account will bring a different approach to education to the table. So that's what I'm striving for. Anybody else from the audience? Well, in that case, I would like to thank my panelists. Thank you, Christian, for jumping in. I'm really grateful. And Olena, it's back to you.